The expression rave on can have two basic meanings, shown below. Listen to the following dialogue and choose how rave on is used. Number 1, to talk about something in an excited and uncontrolled way. Or 2, to talk incoherently so that people think that you are mad or crazy. Meaning of incoherent: to talk in a confused and unclear way. So there I was, listening to a crazy girl rave on about dragons and fox demons and being 400 years old. Thinking this was all getting too much, I politely excused myself and went home. But later that night, something happened. Something that made me change my mind and realize everything the girl Sakura had told me was true. Oh, Jesus, sweet mother! What the hell is that? And who the hell are you?
He is the guardian of the Celestial Gate. And my name is Jing Fei. But Logan, you wouldn't mind telling me what you and Sakura talked about, would you?
Yes, I do believe I would mind. And actually, you don't mind leaving my house, do you? And taking your frog with you as well? Now you may remember from the previous lesson where we talked about using do you mind and would you mind. And you may have just heard that strange girl wearing a school uniform and myself use do you mind, but this time in a slightly different way. What we did was use a negative question tag. A question tag with mind is made by using you don't mind plus ing plus do you. Remember, we use ing for requests, and for permission we use you don't mind plus if, subject, verb, do you. If we use would, then it is simply you wouldn't mind, ing, would you. Or you wouldn't mind if, subject, verb, would you. For example, you don't mind if I look at your book, do you? Or you wouldn't mind if I look at your book, would you? Just note, it is common to put the verb in the past tense with wouldn't mind, even though we are talking about a near future action. For requests, we would say you don't mind opening the window, do you? Or you wouldn't mind opening the window, would you? Also remember how we reply. If you don't give permission or refuse the action, we say, yes, I do mind, or yes, I would mind. But we can also just say yes plus sorry, or use yes, sorry with an apology or an excuse. For example, do you mind if I sit here? Yes, sorry, but my friend's sitting there. If you give permission or do the action, you say, no, I don't mind, or no, I wouldn't mind at all. We can also be more casual by simply saying no plus an invitation to perform the action. For example, no, go for it. No, be my guest. No, of course not. Where is Sakura?
Please forgive the guardian. He is very angry with Sakura. You see, a very long time ago, she stole something very precious that he was protecting.
I smell a fox. A dangerous little fox.
You have a good sense of smell. Guardian Tooth.
Why are you here? fox girl.
You know why I am here.
What you want, you cannot have. Your pirate is gone. You cannot make a deal with the darkness to bring him back.
And yet, that is exactly what I will do.
Then so be it. If that is what you want, then you must fight me to have it.
As you wish. Guardian Toad? What I do now, I do for love, and to hell with the gods if they disappear.
So what did Sakura do? And what did she steal? She stole a violin. Did she mention a violin when she was talking with you?
Yes, Logan, could you tell us if Sakura talked about a violin with you, please?
Now you may have noticed Jing Fei and the Guardian Toad both asked the same question, but they used different ways. The Guardian Toad asked a direct question. Did she mention a violin? Whereas Jing Fei used an indirect question.
Yes, Logan, could you tell us if Sakura talked about a violin with you, please?
Indirect questions are used to make direct questions more polite. You might use them with people you don't know, or when you just want to sound more polite. Now, something to understand about being polite is that the more words you use to say something, the more polite you sound. For example, a direct question. Where are the toilets? 4 words. Now, an indirect question. Excuse me, could you tell me where the toilets are, please? 11 words. So the more words you use, the more polite you sound. Now let's look at how to make indirect questions. The first thing you can do is to say, excuse me, or pardon me. Then if you want, say, by any chance, or I was wondering. Then we use an indirect phrase. Do you know? Do you happen to know? Could you tell me? Have you any idea? Would you be able to tell me? Do you mind telling me? Then we use a WH question, for example, who, where, what, etc. Or we use if. Just note, we use if for yes or no questions. And lastly, we say the subject, then the verb. This is very important. You say the subject first, then the verb second. For example, a direct question. What is your name? Now the indirect question. Excuse me, could you tell me what your name is, please? Now another grammar point to remember is not to use do, does, did in indirect speech. For example, we have a direct question here using did in the question. What did you eat for dinner? Now if we say, could you tell me what did you eat for dinner? That would be wrong. What we need to say is, could you tell me what you ate for dinner? Do you like chocolate? Could you tell me if you like chocolate? Let's look at a few more examples. A direct question. Did you lock the door? Now indirect question. Excuse me, could you tell me if you locked the door? Another direct question. Where is she going? The indirect question. Excuse me, do you know where she is going? One last example. Is the train station nearby? Excuse me, do you mind telling me if the train station is nearby? So if you want to sound more polite, use an indirect question. So would you mind telling me why Sakura stole a violin?
The violin is magical. If played, it has the power to make even a god obey you. Sakura plans to enchant the goddess of death and force the goddess to bring back her lover from the dead.
And Sakura, is she really a fox demon?
Yes, she is. She is also a very special fox demon. Actually, let me tell you about Sakura and how she angered gods and demons, stole the sacred peaches from heaven, and how she fell in love with a mortal man.